Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Paul Grand. I'm the CEO here at MedTech Innovator. This is our pediatric device competition. We've been doing these now for many years. This is an exciting part of the year for us because we get the opportunity to share some of the companies that have been going through our Pediatric Accelerator program. I'm the CEO of MedTech Innovator, which is a global accelerator for medical technology. We try to find the world's best startups wherever they may are and connect them with the leaders in the ecosystem that can help them make sure that their devices reach patients with as much value as possible. And the program that we're running here today is specifically on pediatrics. And it was focused this year in the cardiovascular space. And you're going to hear a little more about that. But just for some context, we had hundreds of companies who apply to have this opportunity. We review them through a process with leaders in the pediatric space, as well as just generally in the industry. So that might be investors, strategics, people from regulatory agencies, from hospital systems, and so on, people who are on the ground and understand what it takes to bring these products to market. For those of you who are involved in any way in pediatric innovation, you'll know that it's especially challenging to be a pediatric innovator. Even just in general, the medtech space is challenging, but pediatrics is that much harder. The bar is higher because we're talking about very small patients. And additionally, we also have the challenges of the market size. And so to be a successful pediatric innovator, you really have to be addressing an unmet need, but also have a really commercially viable technology and company. And there's a lot of things that go into that, which we'll be hearing about as we hear from our companies today. So to give you a little more context for the Pediatric Accelerator Program and the NCC PDI, I'm going to introduce Kalala Eskandanian, who will tell us more about what we're doing here today, and then it'll come back to me and we'll talk more about this competition. So Kalala, over to you.
Thank you so much, Paul, and hello, everyone. I'm Kalala Eskandanian. I'm Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer at Children's National Hospital and Principal Investigator of the National Capital Consortium for Pediatric Device Innovation. Funded by the FDA, this is the 8th year that we are conducting this competition. We're very glad that we've been partnering with the MedTech Innovator for many years. They're the best in class in terms of sourcing and scouting the best companies, MedTech companies, no matter where they are. And this particular competition, today we are listening to the finalists, the 5 companies that graduated from MedTech Innovator's Device Accelerator Program. And these companies presented in May 2021. They were part of a cohort of over 10 companies that presented and were selected to advance to the second stage. So they're all well polished, well mentored after the accelerator program that they've gone through, and are competing for $150,000 of funding today. So we will announce the winners. All 5 companies are winners, but we will announce the recipients of the prize at around 4:20 Eastern time after the judges have deliberated and selected. A little bit about the Pediatric Device Consortium Grant Program. It's funded by the FDA. There are 5 of us in the country, and the National Capital Consortium is a partnership between Children's National Hospital and the University of Maryland, Fischel Department, Institute for Medical Devices. With that, I'll be here if you have any questions. So I'll show up, up there, I guess, Paul, and back to you. And so look forward to listening to all the companies. Congratulations again, and also a big thank you to our judges that have volunteered their time today. Thanks.
Thank you, Kalala. Yeah, so we are really lucky because these companies, as we said before, were selected out of a much larger group of applicants. and they had to check lots of boxes. So first of all, they had to have a commercially viable technology. As I said before, it can't just be somebody who's addressing an unmet need, because while that's important, if it can't be paid for, if it can't be used in the system, then it's gonna sit in the shelf, which would be a real problem. We want to make sure these technologies are actually going to be viable. For many companies in pediatrics, we also are looking for opportunities to expand beyond pediatrics to an adult population, because that gives these companies a larger opportunity. And it's not that you can't be successful just as a pediatric innovator, but it certainly helps if there's a broader market opportunity as well. So we have lots of people involved in mentoring these companies and coaching the companies. And some of those companies are here today as judges. Some of the participants were also part of the original evaluation process as well. So we've got some great people here, and I want to make sure we give the opportunity for you to meet them. And again, this focus on this competition today is specifically on CHD. So we're making sure that you understand that this was a focused in a competition. We didn't just broadly say anybody in pediatrics could apply, but congestive heart disease, that was the place that we were focusing on. So we're looking at technologies that both monitor and treat in that space. So we're going to talk more about that as we go into this. But again, this is pediatrics and pediatric hearts, and they are very small. I don't think they're that small, but they're pretty small. And so you'll hear more about how these companies are addressing these, but I think you're going to really enjoy this. So first, let me introduce today's judges. And we have 5 judges who are here today. So I'll start off first and introduce Sally Elaine with Johnson & Johnson. So Sally, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great, thanks so much, and I'm excited to be here. I'm part of Johnson & Johnson Innovation, and I'm the head of J-Labs at Washington, D.C., and we are uniquely anchored here at Children's National's new Research and Innovation Campus.
Welcome. Great having you here, Sally. That campus is a really incredible thing that you'll hear more about, perhaps from Kalala as well. But this is a place that if you are looking for a home as a company, you'll be very lucky to be at the J-Labs facilities. They're incredible all over the world, and I've heard that the one in DC is no exception. I'm really looking forward to seeing that in the DC area. All right, so let's move on next to Terry Burke from Epidiolex.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm Terry Burke. I'm a venture partner with Epidiolex Capital, where I focus on our med tech investments. I'm also the CEO of Proterix Medical. Great to see everyone today.
Great to see you too. Great to have investors and their perspective here. So thank you very much, Terry. Next up, James Love from Oblon.
Hi, my name is James Love. I'm a patent attorney at Oblon, and I work with Children's National on their patents. I've judged this competition a number of times, and I even remember the first competition 8 years ago, and I'm really excited to be here.
Excellent. Great to have you here as well. Intellectual property is so important to these companies, so it's always been great to get your perspective, James. So thank you. And I know you got a broader context than just that as well, but thank you. All right. Next, let me introduce Anita John from Children's National.
Hello, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very excited to participate. I am the medical director of the Adult Congenital Heart Program at Children's National. So even though I am trained in both pediatric and adult congenital cardiology, my patients actually have been the beneficiaries of lots of innovations within the pediatric congenital heart space. So I'm very excited to join all of you here today and to hear some of the new things on the horizon.
Thank you. All right, great to have you here, Anita. And then our 5th and last judge, Henry Justino from Ucsd. Henry.
Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for this opportunity, Paul and Kalale. Excited to participate as a judge. I'm an interventional pediatric cardiologist and a professor of pediatrics at UCSD and at Rady Children's Hospital. And I'm also the chief medical officer and co-founder of Polyvascular. And our company went through MedTech Innovator as well. So we were the beneficiaries of a lot of mentoring through that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And you've been a fantastic mentor and actor in the ecosystem, in addition to being one of our companies I know that many of our companies refer to you all the time and they'll say, oh, I've talked with Henry and he's been really helpful. So thank you for that and for all the work that you're doing at Polyvascular, which is an incredibly exciting company. So more on that, we'll talk about that another time perhaps, but let's focus on the companies for today. So just to give you a very quick overview on what's going to happen now, we have 5 companies that are going to give us a presentation. Those presentations will be 7 minutes in total. First, we'll have around a 3-minute pitch and then 4 minutes for Q&A with each of these companies. It's 7 minutes in total. So if the company goes over their 3 minutes, if they give us a 4-minute pitch, they'll have 3 minutes for Q&A. So we'll keep the time and we'll be watching that. And for each of the companies, make sure you watch your own time. I always remind you, we're here on Zoom, so put your phone down, start a stopwatch or something and just watch the time. We want to make sure you're able to have some good time with our judges for Q&A. So with that, I'm just going to just briefly tell you real quick, there's 5 companies. The order is going to be Inkspace Imaging, followed by Karios Technologies, then Paracore, then Cybel Health, and finally Starlight Cardiovascular. So again, 5 companies, 7 minutes each, so 35 minutes or so of presentations. And then we'll have a little break where our judges can deliberate, and then we'll come back and announce the winner. So sit back and enjoy these presentations. We're going to start off first with Inkspace Imaging. Peter Fisher is going to do the presentation. So Peter, if you want to share your screen, and the show, as we say, is yours. So if you want to go full screen, there you go. And I'm going to turn off mine and mute myself so we can hear you. Whenever you want to start.
Okay. Thank you, Paul, and thank you for inviting me here. So I'm Peter Fisher, CEO of Inkspace Imaging. I'm very excited to work here since we will change how children and later also adults will receive magnetic resonance imaging. Our work has a direct impact on their healthcare and well-being. At Inkspace Imaging, we develop flexible lightweight MRI receive coil arrays that increase patient access to MRI at elevated levels of performance and comfort. MRI is commonly used for the diagnosis and monitoring of children with congenital heart diseases. However, standard commercially available MR systems lack receiver coils that are optimized for pediatric patients. As you can see, they are not made for children. Too much anesthesia has to be used. It's a one-size-fits-all approach. They're intimidating and they cause a high failure rate. So the product we have developed will make a significant change here. It's lightweight, it's flexible, and it gets a better patient acceptance. It fits much better to the body, provides sharper images, higher resolution. The setup is faster, and it will therefore also give more people access to MRI. We will first bring a dedicated pediatric body cardiac MR coil to the market that provides higher quality images for both diagnostic purposes as well as for hybrid procedures. The video shows how easy the coil setup is, that we can also place a coil directly on the patient that fits into the existing MRI landscape. Radiologists and technologists using it at Stanford Hospital and UCSF are very excited about the product, and we got overwhelming feedback here. So the clinical benefits include that they get higher temporal and spatial resolution, better capture of contrast enhancement. It's an easier setup. The product is significantly lighter. And for future product applications, also radiation transparent. Return of invest for hospitals should be based on additional higher throughput in less than half a year. And obviously the patient has a much better experience with our product. When we talk to radiologists and technologists, they tell us that the coil fills a real need for them and that the spatial and temporal resolution is better than what they can currently achieve with available products from markets. So here is a few videos of 2-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and their heart issues, and also some of the feedback we received from the doctors here. So we are using novel printed electronics and highly differentiated patent-protected designs and manufacturing processes. No one else is doing this. This is not only great for the pediatrics, but also makes it easy to adapt to several applications for adults, such as head or breast coils in the future. On top of that, radiation transparency of the design and some future technology for connectors are other features which will enable additional markets for us. Currently, there are 60,000 MRI scanners installed in the world, performing approximately 100 million MRI exams per year. So to our business model, we will first launch a pediatric MRI coil in the US, which will include some service contracts. and there's no new code required. So it plugs into the existing MRI landscape. The reimbursement is the same as for every other coil. The sales price will be in the ballpark of rigid coils, and we target a gross margin at 60%. We will first sell to direct to key opinion leaders in hospitals, followed by large healthcare networks where we already have very fruitful discussions going on. And obviously, on top of that, we will strive for indirect sales, and I get to this a little later, through the OEM partner and sales networks, and we are working with GE, Siemens, Philips, and some of the other OEMs. And then in the future, we also think about a pay-by-use model for us. Originally, UC Berkeley startup, the company's manufacturing facility is now in Pleasant, California. Team has extensive experience in MRI RF coil design, test simulation, print electronics, and manufacturing scale-up. The advisors are accomplished experts and key opinion leaders in their field. At a recent radiology conference, the RSNA in Chicago, and the exhibition, we received overwhelming feedback from the OEMs and hospitals asking for joint product development, asking to get the product onto their scanners. They thanked us for finally someone doing a product for children. They want this in their portfolio. We have submitted our pediatric body array for 510(k) clearance to the FDA and are currently raising funds to support the growth of the company and start early commercial efforts in 2022. We are very honored to be selected as a finalist in the Make Your Device Medical Device Pitch for Kids competition, have enjoyed participating in the MedTech Innovator 2021 also. Its credibility has been very helpful when talking to investors, hospitals, and the OEMs. We're very excited to be so close to the market introduction. Winning the award would mean a lot to us and would be very supportive in our current fundraising. So I very much appreciate the support and would like to thank everyone for their attention.
Hey, terrific job, Peter. So really great presentation. We got about 2 minutes for Q&A. So I'm going to go right to our judges. So judges, who wants to go first? Henry.
So Peter, that was a great presentation. One of the questions I have is, how heavy are the coils in terms of, for small babies, would you perceive any potential risk they're breathing?
So they can be put directly on the child. So classical coils in the field are the 6 to 10 pounds. Our pad is less than 1 pound. So it's an 80% less weight. So when we went to the RSNA, and people had it finally in their hand, Siemens, Philips, and all these kind, they were like, oh, wow, this is much more lightweight than anything we have. We want that on our platform. So it's making use of printed electronics, and an additional design, which we are using, makes it so lightweight.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next question. Who'd like the next one? Terry.
Yeah, great presentation. Thank you. Could you expand a little bit more on the funding that you're competing for and how that might accelerate your commercial efforts?
So we are planning, so traditionally we have been fundraising through sales and convertible notes, and kept the team rather small. So we are currently 8 full-time employees plus the 2 original founders who are still employed in Berkeley and who help us. And on top of that, we have raised NSF phase 2 and NIH phase 2 grants in the phase 1s before. So this is how we finance us until now. To give you an idea, fundraising through safes and convertible notes, 4.7 million, and the grants 3.6, just to give you an idea how much we raised. And so we want to build a team where we add product marketing, sales, supply chain, some manufacturing people, and more engineering for future product ideas we're having. So we're thinking 5+ million will help us to grow the company, run it for a year and a half with the existing funds we already have and the grants, go through the FDA clearance, and then some initial sales. That's the plan.
Right, excellent. Anita, I know you have a question, but we're out of time. So so thank you though for raising your hand. Great job, Peter. Let's all give him an applause here, because really terrific presentation. I've watched this thing evolve, and very exciting technology. So thanks, Peter. All right, so let's go on then to our second presenter, which is Karios Technologies. Greg Grover is going to give us the presentation. So the CEO. So Greg, if you want to do your sharing and go full screen. There you go. So everyone else, we could turn off our cameras and it'll be Greg's show. And watch your time, Greg. I'm going to do the same.
And can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'll get started. Really excited to be part of this group and MedTech innovators. So today I'm going to present technology that's been invented by surgeons and supported by chemists and engineers to protect patients. I'm actually going to lead off with a quote that I learned about from polyvascular, right? So twice as many children die from CHD than all childhood cancers combined. And we have this novel hydrogel platform, which we're showing here on this slide, that combines 3 polymers to create a protective coating that we know will save the lives of children getting these CHD surgeries. So we're talking about preventing post-surgical adhesions. And these adhesions, when they're removed, result in permanent injury and in death. So children with congenital heart defects will experience multiple surgeries over the course of their lifetimes. And when these adhesions are present in these reoperations, they triple the rates of injury and death in cardiac reoperations. Here we're showing examples of what these adhesions look like in the heart, large bowel, small bowel, and shoulder. The key here with the heart to take away is that the heart is fused to the left side of the chest and has to be carefully cut away from that adhesion or binding before they can do the additional reoperations. And this is what causes the permanent injury and death. This is an underserved and undervalued market that creates a large opportunity. The US adhesion market is worth over $10 billion. We're focusing on the cardiac segment, which is $2 billion because there's almost 1 million surgeries. Greater than 70% of these patients develop adhesions, greater than 20% are reops. And our initial market segments are children with congenital heart defects and adults with ventricular assist devices. These patients are the ones that receive the most operations and the highest frequency, and they'll allow us to transition and address the rest of these other markets. Our solution is very straightforward. It's spray paint for the heart. Tissue Shield is designed to fit into the surgical workflow, easily fit into surgeons' hands, and easily be sprayed over a beating heart in a dirty surgical field. Here we're showing the use of our clinical prototype in our porcine model, and you can see that it's easily sprayed directly over the heart. We've shown safety and efficacy in 3 different animal models in a recent publication in Nature Communications. We've shown that we prevent cellular attachment, cytocompatible, prevent those adhesions in those 3 animal models. And here's a histology image showing our product bound to the surface of the heart. We succeed where others have failed because we have superior properties. No other product addresses all of the failure modes of previous adhesion barriers. Here we're showing those properties on the left. We bind tissue, we're low swelling, fully synthetic, and long lifespan, for example. We're proven and protected. We have 3 patents with exclusive commercial licenses from UCLA and UCSD, and we're supported by 4 peer-reviewed publications. We have a successful team that has direct experience in this area. We're led by myself, CEO and co-founder, as well as surgeon entrepreneur Dr. Denaro from UVA and Professor Karen Chrisman from UCSD. Our current team has direct experience developing and translating these types of products. We have a clear regulatory path. Tomorrow, we're actually speaking to the FDA about our preclinical pre-sub meeting, as well as about our breakthrough device application, and a very straightforward path. And we have direct regulatory experience for people that have done this at the FDA for over 20+ years. So the point here is that surgeons want a solution. Here we're showing 2 quick quotes. Dr. Cohn, who's VP of J&J, said if this product was available, he'd be using it in his patients. Dr. Madani, who's a co-inventor, says a product like this would save the lives of numerous patients in his practice. Our business model is really straightforward. Our clinical success in children enables translation to adults. Our current product is projected to sell at $2,000 per kit, which is less than 2.2% the cost of CHD surgery, and this adhesion prevention will save the lives of patients. Here's our timeline to development. I'm already gone way over here, so I want to enable questions from the audience. So partner with us to protect the hearts of children and adults, and thank you for this opportunity.
Hey, great job, Greg. Fantastic presentation. And we got 3 minutes for Q&A. So nice job on that. Judges, I'm going to start with Anita this time.
Thank you. So this is a problem that many of my patients experience. We have lots of adult patients who go through multiple reoperations, and adhesion are something that contributes quite a bit to their mortality and morbidity risk. So question for you, in the process of spraying the substance over the actual myocardium itself, what are sort of the long-term effects on the heart and the pericardial tissue, especially in using it in such a young population?
Yeah, so we've seen no impact. So across multiple time points from 2 to 8 weeks in these 3 animal models, we see that it's biocompatible, no foreign body response, and no chronic inflammation response. We're also biodegradable. So we're gone within 2 months, But if you need to go in prior before we're degraded, you can peel us off very easily. So the point is we're safe, biocompatible, and biodegradable, where the biodegradation products are excreted out through the urine. So our goal is to have no impact on the healing process. It's just to coat the tissue while that initial healing process is taking place.
Thank you.
All right, James.
So are the patents that you mentioned directed to the method or the device that applies it? I'm just wondering, what that's going to cover, as you seem to have a number of competitors in this space.
Great question, and a different type of question. The patents are currently focused on the material and its composition. We're currently raising a seed round where we're going to be focused on new patents on the material, but also the delivery system that will be our own. We look at both of those as key areas to differentiate ourselves: delivery system and the material.
Excellent. Next question. Sally?
Yeah, thanks. So you talked a little bit about the biodegradation. How is that determined?
Yeah, so we've done that in vitro and also in vivo at various time points, and we can see that the product is degraded after 2 months. It degrades because of the oxime bond cross-linking is not permanent. Also, we have esters and carbamates present in our polymer architecture. So we engineered it to last 2 months, which is more than most products.
And you determine excretion through the urine. Did you look at any other areas of the body of the animals?
So that's what we're raising money for. This $150K would go towards a piglet study, which would be fantastic, which we've designed with our collaborators at Nationwide Children's and Children's National, for example, where we have advisors. The key is that we know the products are of the size that they'll be excreted out through the urine, and we want to take samples from other tissues in a rapidly growing piglet model, where we also look at foreign body blocking of adhesions, such as sutures and felt pledgets, for example. So I don't have enough time to talk about it, but would really love to share with you the piglet model and where this award would be really useful for us to work together on that question.
Thanks.
All right, time for one last question. Anyone else? Any follow-up? All right. Well, look, you did a really great job, Greg. So great job. We got, I think we got everything in. Again, watch this one evolve over time. Really terrific story. And I think you're going to make a huge impact. So thank you very much, Greg. And applause again for Greg. Thank you, Greg, from everybody. All right. Next up, we're going to have our third company here. So that will be Paracore, presented by Bradley Clark, Chief Medical Officer. So Bradley, if you are ready, take it away and I will reset our time here.
Thanks, Paul. So I'm Bradley Clark. I'm a pediatric electrophysiologist and I'm Chief Medical Officer of Paracore. So Paracore was founded in 2015 with the goal of creating minimally invasive solutions for children at risk for abnormal cardiac rhythms and the risk of sudden cardiac death. Currently, patients with abnormal cardiac rhythms require the standard of care as a cardiac ablation procedure. Our aim is to address issues with catheter stability. An ablation, which is demonstrated below with 3D mapping images, is performed by inserting catheters from outside the body and manipulating within the heart. Therapy is delivered from the catheter tip in order to provide a patient cure. Cardiac ablation is a robust and rapidly growing market with an estimated 880,000 procedures in 2021. The catheter device market is estimated currently at $1.7 billion. Ablations have a risk of severe complications, which include cardiac perforation and heart block, and as little as 1 to 2 millimeters can separate normal and abnormal tissue. So small movements could lead to great risk. Procedures are lengthy. They average 2 to 4 hours and can lead to an increased risk of operator fatigue. Heart block incidence is estimated at approximately 1% in adult patients, with a much higher risk in pediatric patients. But children are not just small adults. Greater than 5,000 ablations are performed in children annually, and the distance between vital structures is much smaller. The cost of a perforation is a potential mortality, and the cost of heart block includes a pacemaker implant, lifetime of follow-up, and a substantial financial burden. Our solution is Paracore. It's specifically designed for the pediatric space to prevent ablation complications. It's a soft cylindrical torque tool device for cardiac catheters. Paracore leads to enhanced torque, improved stability, and a decrease in operator fatigue. It fits catheters ranging in size from 3 to 9 French, which covers all ablations used in a typical ablation procedure. It can be used on multiple different catheters within the same procedure. In this video, you'll see Peritorque in action. The Peritorque device is placed onto the catheter and then locked into place. The operator then moves the catheter by manipulating the Peritorque device with improved torqueability. After usage, the sled is pulled back, Peritorque is removed, and it's ready for its next use. Ex vivo testing has demonstrated one-to-one torque transfer and the ability to sustain forces greater than used in a typical ablation procedure. Muscle and usability testing, which was recently presented at the AHA conference, demonstrated reduction in muscle activation, physical demand, effort and frustration, and increase in perceived performance. Peritorque has a provisional patent that was filed in 2017 and a world patent which was filed in 2019. We were granted non-significant risk status by the FDA in 2020. A pre-submission meeting is currently scheduled with the FDA in early January with a plan for a Class 2 510(k) exempt classification. Grant funding has been already secured for in vivo animal studies, and the design of a clinical trial is currently underway. Our team consists of engineers and clinicians, including multiple key opinion leaders, and has experience of design and patents in this device space. Additional resources including product development, regulatory, and strategic consultants as well. I would like to thank everyone, especially MedTech, for their support and interest, and I hope that you will join us on our mission to improve the lives of the most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you, Bradley. Great job. Nice presentation. All right, judges, we've got 3.5 minutes for questions. Yes, Henry.
So maybe one question is regarding the cost. How much do you estimate the cost of each device? And these would be disposable?
Great question. Yeah, they would be single-use disposable devices. The estimated cost to the hospital, to the physician, would be $50. The average device, kind of the ablation catheter, costs about $3,600. The average cost of an ablation procedure is anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000. So the additive cost of $50 is not too much on top, whether it's a physician request or whether we're able to bundle it into the bundle of the ablation procedure itself.
Okay. Maybe a follow-up would be regarding patent protection. There are similar devices already used to grip guide wires. So where do you stand on patent protection for this?
Exactly. So there's no active patent on that little torque device for the glide wire. So there's no active patents in the space. So we were able to do the provisional patent in 2017. So we are actually quite confident that we do have IP protection there, because there are, again, no active patents for those devices currently.
Thank you.
James?
Yeah, so just to follow up, have you thought about design patents for this? Because it seems like this might be an area where you could get protection as well.
Yes, we have thought about it. We haven't kind of moved forward. We're looking at obviously funding and animal testing and have focused our energy there, but that's a great point that we would be able to add that in as well.
All right. Terry, you had a question?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I was curious, some of those adverse events that can occur in these patients, can you directly attribute those to kind of having that poor control? And do you think that you can really demonstrate that a device like this improves those, or are there other aspects of the procedure that could lead to an adverse event?
So the catheters do require a lot of kind of manual pinching and twisting. They're small catheters. They range from 1.7 to 2.3 millimeters. So especially when we're dealing in the congenital space, especially with the adult congenital space, there's a lot of kind of hard and manual torquing. You have to hold kind of pressure and keep stability oftentimes for a minute, longer, things like that. So the stability is a really big deal. It also gets us to different places we may not be able to. And really, again, a lot of the times we're within millimeters of the AV node and the normal electrical system. So that enhanced stability, I think, really does have an impact on especially the incident of heart block and potential and perforation as well.
Time for another question. Any others? Anyone else? All right, great job, Bradley. Again, everyone, thank you. Nice work, Bradley. Terrific presentation. Again, watch the company evolve. You've really revolved. You've really done a great job. So thank you for all the hard work. In such an area of need. All right, next up, we've got Cybel, Steve Zhu. So CEO, Steve, if you want to go ahead and give us the presentation.
Thank you so much. My name is Steve Zhu. I'm a physician engineer dermatologist by specialty, and really excited to be talking about Cybel, where I'm CEO and co-founder. And the problem we're trying to solve is pretty simple. Wires suck. They suck especially for kids. When it comes to it, they cause skin injuries, up to 43% of premature neonates. They obstruct skin-to-skin contact. They frustrate our nurses, and they complicate remote monitoring, where up to 15% of CHD patients are readmitted within 30 days of discharge. And our parents tell us the same thing. They all resolutely believe that skin-to-skin contact is critical, and they all endorse the fact that the wires are the #1 causes that intimidate and prevent this really important mode of contact. So what Cybel has developed is the world's first ICU-grade wireless wearable monitoring system designed for the unique anatomical and physiological needs of critically ill neonates and infants. We not only replace 1 or 2 vital signs, we essentially do them all with issued granted patents worldwide. We are focused on children, both in the hospital and home, with extensive experience from premature infants to patients with congenital heart defects. The ability for our system to collect rich streams of electrocardiography, seismocardiography, heart sounds, and pulse wave velocity enables us to do all the vital signs, but then also capture important information that is even hidden by existing wired systems today. These are examples of congenital heart defect patients that we have monitored in the intraoperative setting. Even in atypical locations, we're able to capture beautiful waveforms, recapitulating ICU-grade wearable systems. Here, example of our data streaming wirelessly from an individual patient, 37 weeks with a congenital heart defect. But beyond traditional vital signs like heart rate, pulse oximetry, respiratory rate, and temperature at 2 different locations, we go beyond. Our ability to also connect these 2 sensors wirelessly allow us to provide surrogate markers of advanced vital signs, such as continuous blood pressure with less than 10 millimeter mercury accuracy compared to arterial lines. We've continued to publish and demonstrate thought leadership in this space with manuscripts in Science, Nature Medicine, and The Lancet. We believe that wireless sensing is going to drive adoption across the entire medical ecosystem, starting with children. Furthermore, our sensors offer a 50% lower cost per monitoring per day to hospitals, representing not only a benefit clinically, but a better ROI. We further think that not only in the hospital, but in the home, there are broader opportunities for congenital heart defect monitoring in the home, where there are even less solutions. We've launched in more than 24 countries. We've monitored more than 10,000 patients worldwide and have partnerships with some of the leading philanthropies, medical technology companies, and pharmaceutical companies in the world. But our product roadmap expands beyond hospital monitoring into RPM, clinical trials, and sleep. We see a future where we'll continue to disrupt medical monitoring. Wireless, soft, flexible electronics specifically for children, extending beyond vital signs to include Doppler, EEG, NIRS, to take care of congenital heart defects in every context that they need. We have a dedicated world-class team, including technical experts that are considered the father of flexible electronics, the former chief investment officer of Geico, a proven technology that is FDA cleared already in adults, with a neonatal indication being sought Q1 of next year, existing partnerships with large med tech and payers for both RPM and hospital, and future funding where we've successfully completed a Series A with existing investors interested in joining us in a Series B that we are actively raising now. This is the future we envision, one without wires, one that can take care of a congenital heart defect patient from both the hospital to the OR to the home. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Great presentation. We got 3 minutes left for questions. So judges, whenever you're ready, who wants to go first? All right, Anita.
Thanks so much. That was a great presentation. I can definitely see the utility of this, not just in the pediatric space, but certainly in the adult space as well, too. You mentioned the expansion of this beyond just, the hospital setting, and especially now with our ever-growing telemedicine practice. How do you sort of envision using this device in the care of patients remotely, being able to do telemedicine, and how to sort of integrate that information into our visits?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with, it's publicly announced, we work with Anthem, the second largest payer in the United States. So we essentially will complete Epic integration by January of next year. allowing our data to go from the sensor to a mobile app that your parents, your doctors can download, so bring your own device. That gets pushed to our HIPAA compliant, high trust certified cloud that then integrates with Epic. So we know that physicians, a physician myself, I use Epic, it's got to be in the EHR. So that's pushed seamlessly through, enabling alerts, alarms set by you, and then integrated within the EHR to also support things like billing, as there's new CMS codes for that as well.
That's amazing. Thank you.
All right, next question, Terry.
Yeah, thanks for the great presentation. Can you speak a little bit about where you are with patents? What is protectable in this, whether it's the patch or the algorithm, or how you incorporate the data together?
Yeah, so we have both European, United States, Chinese, and Japanese patents. Foundationally, what is our secret sauce is the soft, flexible mechanics. So it's the foundational device itself. Some of our algorithms we keep as trade secrets, but our blood pressure algorithm is actually patented and then published as well. So it covers the entire thing plus a medical ecosystem. We've already integrated with one major medical monitoring company. We'll have a second one very soon. So that data can be streamed to legacy monitors, not just our tablets. And that's covered in our IP as a medical infrastructure, medical ecosystem. So it's pretty broad, and we've sort of focused on that ability to go from the sensor all the way up to the system. A great question.
Thank you.
All right, Henry.
You described cost savings of using this device over existing wires. Can you explain how that works and how that compares?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at like the per day per use costs, you've got disposables, right? ECG patches, pulse oximeters, blood pressure cuffs, temperature probes. Those things can average $30 to $60 per day if you need those vital signs monitoring. Our sensors are rechargeable and reusable for a single patient. So you can actually use it. It has about 5 days battery life. So you basically can take it off, recharge it, put it back on. And when you look at the ultimate cost of our device compared to a 1 week, 2 week, 3 week emission, we'd actually be able to save hospitals more than 50% on just the consumable cost alone. So they don't need to necessarily buy our tablet, et cetera. What they're really paying for is a much lower variable cost per day, since our sensors are rechargeable, reusable. We are working on a disposable version. That's really more for like cleaning and these kind of things, but that sort of rechargeable capability allows us to be both cost effective in the hospital, but also for RPM.
Thank you.
All right, great. So terrific job, Steve. Really nice presentation. I agree with the comment in the chat where they really liked your last slide showing where we are today and where we're going in the future. So great vision, and really appreciate the presentation and all your work here in the space. All right, so we got one more presentation, and that's going to be from Starlight Cardiovascular, Bev Tang, CEO. So Bev, if you want to queue up your slides, we're ready to go when you are.
Can you see in here? All right. Hi, I'm Bev Tang, co-founder and CEO of Starlight Cardiovascular. We're a San Diego-based startup that was founded in 2020, and I'm really excited to be here today. So I just wanted to thank NCC PDI and MedTech Innovator for this opportunity. At Starlight, we've brought together an incredibly experienced and motivated team that's dedicated to solving unmet needs for children born with congenital heart disease. We've also put together a great network of partners, including an engaged MAB of both pediatric surgeons and interventional cardiologists. So imagine that you've just welcomed a new baby into your family, but within a day, she starts to turn blue due to lack of oxygen. She's part of the 1% of babies that are born each year with a congenital heart defect. You're told that your newborn needs an emergency procedure to survive. The two options are open chest surgery to sew in a shunt, or a catheter-based procedure where a stent is placed to open a naturally occurring conduit called the ductus arteriosus. Most parents and clinicians would choose the catheter procedure. However, there are no stents approved for ductal stenting, and there are many problems with the off-label use of coronary stents in the ductus, which can have a reported 47% reintervention rate. Not surprisingly, the delivery systems can be too large for newborn anatomy. Complex anatomy makes length measurements under 2D fluoroscopy difficult, often leading to choosing the wrong stent size or double or triple stenting. And tortuous anatomy prevents stiff balloon-mounted systems from navigating around the bends of the ductus. In contrast, Starlight's self-expanding lifeline stent is designed specifically for the ductal stenting procedure and offers a number of benefits. The small microcatheter delivery system reduces vasospasm risk and allows for much smoother navigation of tortuous ducts compared to balloon-mounted systems. The flange design prevents migration and provides end-to-end vessel coverage. And finally, the stent balances conformability and radial force. Starlight recognized early on that it will require a toolkit of devices to treat congenital heart disease. So we're developing multiple devices that bring value to the healthcare system by increasing access to care, moving procedures toward less invasive approaches, and decreasing costly morbidity and mortality. The Lifeline Stent's value proposition is a $22,000 cost savings between stenting and shunting with a very high gross margin device for a life-saving procedure that is highly reimbursed. Starlight's portfolio approach increases business sustainability and takes advantage of a consolidated customer base. We've made some exciting progress this past year, including receiving a SBIR Phase 1 grant for the development of the Lifeline Stent, getting hands-on physician feedback, having our first Q-Sub meeting, and completing our first acute animal study, which demonstrated proof of concept. We're gearing up for a Series A fundraise, which will take us through our next major milestones, including a GLP animal study, B&B testing, and an early feasibility study. We hope you will support our efforts in helping to heal little hearts. Thanks for your attention.
Nice job, Bev. All right. So, judges, questions for Bev. All right, who wants to go first?
So Bev, as a pediatric interventional cardiologist, I do these procedures a lot, and the current technology is certainly challenging. Do you foresee having to provide a broad range of different devices, lengths and diameters? And how do you think the cost will figure out compared to existing coronary type stents that we're using?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So yes, we will obviously have to provide a number of stent sizes and lengths, just like what you have today with the coronary stents. However, I think that we're able to probably offer better end-to-end coverage due to our flange design. And so our hope is that we will actually have fewer SKUs than you might potentially need with, trying to cover all of the potential ductus sizes and the ductal anatomies. In terms of pricing, we're doing some market research and pricing studies now. There is quite a bit of cost savings that we can fit into this business model based on the difference between stenting and surgical shunting. And I think we'll take advantage of the fact that we will be the only FDA-approved device for this. Obviously, everything that you use right now is being used off-label.
Very true.
All right, next. Who wants to go next? James.
Can you talk a little bit more about, you talked about it's a portfolio approach. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So the ductal stenting device is only the first device in our portfolio. We basically started with a clinical needs assessment, looking at 50 unmet clinical needs, and used the Stanford Biodesign Innovation approach to narrow down those needs. So we have a portfolio right now of 3 devices that we're developing. This device, another device that is a pulmonary flow restrictor for mostly for hypoplastic left heart syndrome, and then a third device as well, all of them for different congenital heart defects. We know that, to Dr. Justino's point, there's no one device that is going to solve all of congenital heart disease. And so we are trying to offer a toolkit of devices. And this also obviously offers some business sustainability in the pediatric space.
All right, next question. Who wants to go next? Got time for another one for sure.
In your animal studies, Bev, do you plan on looking at how a surgeon might have to deal with a stented ductus arteriosus at the next stage? Because these children have multiple operations, and this is the first step. And so beyond the placement, we want to know how this would impact the later surgeries.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And actually, in our very first study that we just completed last week at Boston Children's Hospital, we had Dr. Delnito ligate the stents. and confirmed that there was no flow on Doppler. And so these stents are very ligatable and should have no problem in the next stage, and should also be removable if that's the choice of the surgeon.
Wonderful. That's important. Thank you.
All right, that's all the time we have, Bev. Great presentation, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice work at Starlight. Yeah, no, terrific technology. And again, a company that we've had our eyes on for a long time. We've really seen your progress, and it's been tremendous. So congratulations to you and to Mark as well. So thank you for that, Bev. All right, so those are our 5 presentations. Everyone out there who's watching here on the Zoom webinar, we appreciate your being here. What we're going to do now is we're going to move to deliberation. And what that means is our judges are going to all drop off. They're going to go into a separate Zoom that you can't see. And we're going to go ahead and have those judges deliberate. We're going to come back here in I think it's 20 minutes or so. Is that right? 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And let me check the schedule, make sure I'm right on that.
It's going to be at 4:20 Eastern.
Thank you very much, Brian. So 4:20 Eastern, we'll be back here to announce who the winners are. Oh, very good. Thank you. Good timing. So for those of you who are watching, go take a break, come back at 4:20. Don't disappear entirely, and you'll hear who the winners are. Brian Benson, who you just saw, will be taking the lead on the deliberation with the judges and also announcing the winner along with Kalale. So great presentations, everyone, and we'll see you back here in 30 minutes. Thank you all.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your patience. The deliberation process took a little bit longer than expected, which for the companies is a good thing. Your presentations were incredible. Your technologies are very compelling, and the needs that they are addressing is really something that we took into consideration during the deliberation, and how the funding and NCCPI can support you in your efforts to bring these much needed solutions to patients in the pediatric space and beyond. Obviously, some of you have bigger visions in addition to the ped space. So I wanted to give Kalale the opportunity to make a comment before I announce the prizes for our final decision on the awards for the NCC PDI and MedTech Innovator Pediatric Accelerator competition.
Thank you, Brian. Congratulations to all companies. All the presentations were fantastic, and so proud that there's so much enthusiasm around developing pediatric medical devices. So we are doing something very different this time because we were so impressed with all of the presentations. And so I just want to tell you all congratulations. And the National Capital Consortium for Pediatric Device Innovation, which is a partnership between Children's National and University of Maryland, Fischel Institute for Biomedical Devices, is committed. So this consortium is committed to working with all of you for your regulatory pathway that you will be going through, as well as clinical validation. So we will stay in touch, and we would love to work with all 5 companies moving forward. So now back to Brian.
Thank you, Kalale. So with that, I wanted to say the component that Kalale mentioned, which we've never done before, is actually award prizes to all of the companies. It was so hard to make a decision on which company shouldn't receive support from this innovation resource that we took it upon ourselves to break the mold and offer a prize to all of the 5 companies today. So firstly, congratulations to everyone. It was, as I mentioned, not an easy task for us to make this decision, and not something we've ever done before. So as Kalale mentioned, we really tried to take that into consideration. So congratulations to Paracore, Starlight, Inkspace, Karios, and Cybel. With that, I wanted to jump into the specific award amounts for each of the companies. So for Starlight, we are awarding $40,000 of the $150,000. So congratulations, great job. I wanted to offer give the company, yeah, there we go, an opportunity to say any closing remarks as an awardee. If you have anything to say, but Beverly, if you want to make a statement, I want to give you the chance to do that.
Yeah, thank you so much for your support. This is an amazing award, and I'm really honored. This is great. So I want to thank you so much, and thanks to MedTech Innovator for their support and mentorship over the last few months. Obviously, you've helped us to get so much better. So thank you. We really appreciate it. Congrats again,
and hopefully you'll be able to put that to good work. I know you will. That's why we chose you for that. And the next company we'll talk about specifically is Inkspace. So again, congrats. And our decision was to offer you $40,000 is the prize. So congrats again. And I wanted to give you the chance as well to comment.
Thank you very much. I mean, for giving us a chance to be in that group and receive the prize. And thank you for both the trust in us and the recognition, obviously. I'm very honored. I can see that must have been very difficult for the judges. Tough competition in the field. But I would like to close with, I hope that we will all bring our technology to use into pediatric hospitals and beyond to make something out of that. And as I said earlier, so for us, it has been the credibility of the MedTech Innovator in this consortium has been already very helpful. And winning a prize will also be beneficial for us for the future fundraising rounds. Thank you.
So again, congrats. We'll move on to the next company, which will be Cybel. And so Cybel is going to receive 27.5 with the dividing. So congrats again. And based on kind of all the judge deliberation, this is kind of how we rendered some of the award amounts. So congratulations. And I want to give you the chance to comment as well.
Well, I just want to thank everyone. I mean, I think pediatric devices is such an important area of unmet need, and it's just great to see like-minded people. Excuse me, I'm getting a phone call. And it's really, truly an honor, and just to be a part of this cohort and this group, it's wonderful. And I'm sure the alumni network, and after that, we're really excited to be part of this. So thank you so much.
Steve, that is a really great point, and something that I think has really benefited our companies in the long term. Is really, there's not enough money. We never can have enough. There's no company, no program, accelerator that can give a company enough money to really close the deal. But what we do have is that ongoing relationship and the support for the companies in the continuum to keep growing and get to that next phase. So we do see this as a family, MedTech Innovator, and all of our cohort programs. So we definitely encourage that and see if there's anything that we can do moving forward. We're always here to help. So thank you for mentioning that. So Karios is the other split with that. And so that is a 27.5. I think we have, I think they just, maybe I missed it. All right, are they still here? Maybe they popped off. And then our last,
I mean, yeah, thanks.
Oh, so
thanks,
Greg.
Brian. Yeah,
There,
no, I mean, this MTI experience and this competition have been a huge light for us in fundraising and everything. So we're so grateful, Brian, to you, to Paul, to everybody at MTI and all the other groups, you know, Bev, Peter, you know, Steve, watching you guys grow and talking with you guys. So just thanks for the support. Hugh, really, really, really appreciate it. And I'll stop and let you guys keep going, but just thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah. And our last company is Paracore with $15,000. So again, it was a challenge to try to do this, and we wanted to make sure that every company was recognized because of the strength, not because we were lazy, but it was a really difficult challenge and something that we've never done before. And after all the hard work that every company has done to get even to the finals is so impressive for us, and all of our judges with VC judges on the panel really thought that this amount of money can help move each of the companies to that next value inflection point. So we're hopeful that it will, and we're really looking forward to keeping you going on your journey and really getting these products to the market. So again, congratulations to all the presenters. You did all the hard work. Your companies are on track to do something that hopefully will change patient lives around the world. So thank you so much for that. And any last minute comments from the companies? Otherwise, I just wanted to comment about MedTech Innovators 2022 application cycle is open. So if you are a MedTech innovator looking to grow your technology to the next level and integrate into the world's largest ecosystem of innovators, this is a place to do that. As you can see, some of the companies in our pediatric focus track already are doing well on their way. But if you are interested, the applications are open on the medtechinnovator.org website. And we're looking forward to a new year with some exciting companies to support throughout our program. All right, with that, thank you. Thank you again, companies, judges, and everybody viewing on the live stream. Kalali, do you have any closing remarks? Otherwise, we'll say goodbye.
Thank you so much to the fantastic MedTech Innovator team, Brian, Paul, Catherine, Jerry, and happy holidays to everyone. Thank you so much.
Yes, happy holidays, everybody. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.